Okay, here we go. Polynomials adding. We're going to be adding polynomials. And so polynomials involve numbers and variables, and we have to do things to them like add and subtract and multiply and divide. We're going to start with adding. And so first of all, we're like, okay, we got a lot here, right? You notice we have the 2x squared and the 7x squared. And then we've got a negative 3x and a positive 10x. And finally, we have a positive 1 and a positive 8. All right, I did that so that we can be reminded that we are only allowed to add like terms. And so when I see the 2x squareds, it's telling me I got 2 of these x squareds. Here, I've got 7 of these x squareds. How many x squareds do I have altogether? I have 9. So I have 9x squared. Then I'm going to look at what's in the green. I've got negative 3x, and I got a positive 10x. If you have to pick up your calculator, no shame in that. Negative 3 plus 10, that's going to give us a positive 7x. And then we'll move on to just the plain old numbers, which we call constants. And we have a positive 1 plus an 8. That gives me a 9. So this is my answer. So you're going to see these on Delta Math, and you can do them on the marker board if you'd like. You can do them in your head, but just know that we're only allowed to add like terms. And so sometimes on Delta Math, you're going to see where sometimes, like, let's look at negative 4x squared. I go to my other grouping, which these parentheses are just grouping our terms together. We don't really need them, but it kind of makes it clean. But I look over here, I'm like, when I'm looking here, I'm like, there's no x squared. When that happens, then there's nothing to add this negative 4x squared to. So we're like, okay, negative 4x squared it is. All right, so then I move to my next term, my positive 6x, and I'm looking for something in this next grouping that is a like term. Well, 5x is a like term because they both have just x's. So we have 6x plus 5x gives me 11x. And then finally, I move to my my constants, my numbers that are by themselves. 1 plus 7 is plus 8. So sometimes on Delta Math, we are going to see problems where there's not a matching one to add to in the other grouping, and that's okay. So same thing here, right? We're looking at that negative 6x squared. There's no x squared in here. So that's okay. Nothing to add to it. We're just going to rewrite it. And then we go ahead and look at the positive 3x. We got a negative x. Now just remember, when there's no number in front of the x, that means 1. Like instead of saying here's an x, we could say here's 1x. It's the same thing. There's just one of them. And so the negative in front means negative 1x. So we have 3x plus negative 1x. So that's going to be a 2x. And then we've reached our end. This grouping doesn't have anything else left. But we noticed, wait a second, in this grouping, who do we have left behind? We have our, let's pick red, we have our plus 6 left behind. There's nothing in the first grouping to add to the 6, so we just rewrite it. And that's our answer. Now this may seem like, I don't know, maybe a little boring, but all these things we're doing with polynomials, we're practicing them because then when we get to the upper level math, we can do harder problems because we know how to combine like terms. One more. So this one, once again, I've got a grouping here that only has 2 terms, and I have a grouping here with 3 terms. So we know something's not going to add up. Well, here I've got my negative x squared, my positive x squared. If I add those together, remember that's a 1. So negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7x squared. Now, I would normally move on to this 3, right? But I'm not going to because I want to keep them in descending order. I've got x squared. So I'm going to look in this, let's undo that. So I'm going to look in this the second grouping, and I'm going to notice that I've got my plus 3x. Do I have a 3x over here? No, or an x, any x over here? Nope. So I just rewrite the 3x. So these are the hardest ones where we have to kind of keep track and be like, all right, well, what's left? And here I've got a plus 3 and a minus 8. So that's a negative 5. All right, so just as with everything, most everything in life, we learn by doing, we learn by practicing. And so hopefully this video gave you an idea of how to do those delta math problems, and here to help you in class. Thanks for joining me.